If you give me 1 second. Okay. Well, I can start talking about it. Okay.
No worries.
We'll get there. In the meantime, there's a slide on this, but somebody asked how many animals we have registered. Licensed and registered, get this, we have 12,517 dogs. That's not cats, that's dogs. In the 91766, the 91767, and the 91768 zip codes, which is covering all of Pomona. Whenever this gets started. How about we fix it soon? I really do think that this is going to help, so you're going to have to give me a minute. This is why I gave it to you before the meeting started. If you don't mind, ladies and gentlemen, can I just start so I don't waste anybody else's time, and we'll go through the slides as we go. If you have any questions, you can ask me. My first slide is how many parks do we have in the city of Pomona? The city of Pomona has 26 parks, and we have 14 of the 26 parks that are used for sports. Soccer, t-ball, softball, frisbee, whatever you have. Current dog parks, 0. Okay. The next slide. Can I just use this right here next to you? Sure, thanks. The next slide I had was just a presentation of the PowerPoint. It had page 1, page 2, page 3 of the agenda, which just broke it down for our residents. The next part is the D5 park use. Mr. Aldrady came, and he's right about the AYSO Region 661 in Phillips Ranch. They use 2 parks in my district council, not 1, 2 parks. They use Country Crossings Park and Phillips Ranch Park right around the times of maybe mid-August to mid-December in the fall season, and then in January to April, Monday through Friday about 4 o'clock to dusk, and Saturdays for their games from 7 to 5. In the spring, AYSO uses less time on Saturdays because they have fewer teams. Additional user groups that are very limited are some youth and adult soccer leagues, but like I said, this isn't more than just the park that is aforementioned before us today with Phillips Ranch Park and Decker Park. The next point that I had was additional usage info. We're not just talking about soccer, we're talking about all the types of sports that we have in our community and in our city. We have t-ball and softball, and up until 2007, Pomona Southwest Little League used the backstop at Phillips Ranch Park up until 2007. In 2007, Ralph Welch Park was renovated, fully renovated, and the new park design was more efficient for the junior and the senior divisions, and the league had more opportunities to program field time in the evening because of the lighting and the situations with the lighting. And also in District 5, the largest event that we have in our park, which is adjacent to Decker Elementary, is our District 5 Decker Fun Run, which is a fundraiser run in tribute to a teacher that passed away. And so the children honor the teacher by having a run commemorating his life every year. Now, I had 2 animated slides. The first one was that if this doesn't pass, we are currently facing around a $2.3 million deficit in our general fund. If this doesn't pass this evening, ladies and gentlemen, $55,401 has to be taken out of the general fund to pay for the study that was only done at Decker Elementary, at the Decker Park site. And $70,000 that will expire because of the grant will have to be reallocated or could potentially vanish because we have to use everything by December of 2017. And at best, if we're talking about repairs for our parks, the $70,000 could possibly at best fix fencing and minor playground equipment repair or some drought-tolerant plants. Now, there was a misimpression about the size of the park. The size of all of Decker Park or Phillips Ranch Park, however you want to put it, is 200,019,978 square feet. That's about 5.05 acres. Now, usable section from the 200,019 council and staff and members of the audience is 172,000 feet, okay? 172,000 square feet. The proposed dog park will be using 22,310 square foot. How are we on the status of the PowerPoint so we can get this done? Okay. All right, we'll open up an email and maybe we can do it on your computer. Okay, now there was a slide I had in reference to implicit location approval. This is, ladies and gentlemen, if you go by the current staff agenda, going by the staff reports of both the past and current council members, it's been approved. Aside, ladies and gentlemen, from going to other voting bodies like our district, District 5 at one of my community town hall meetings was actually introduced with the idea and the park concept at Westmont Community Center in 2013 and 2014. In August of 2015, Mr. Rene Salas, who was part of our district, or was part of our public works director, presented at Decker Park on August 24th in 2015. So now going back to the different bodies like the commissions, there was a naming process and then there was a location process. Now, the park concept study and funding came before the council and was voted on and approved every time in June of 2015, in May of 2016, in August and September of 2016, and by this new body in December and January. So December of 2016 and January of 2017. And in fact, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. All right, it's on the screen here for the council. So I don't know what's going on here. Can I flip this?
Just keep going.
I'll just keep going. Okay, it's getting there. It's getting there, I promise. Okay, so here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight the council approved to approve and pass the minutes from the January 9th council meeting as well. Thank you. I'm very sorry.
You're doing great.
Thank you.
That was pretty
So this was just the agenda, ladies and gentlemen, okay? This was just the reiteration of the District 5 park use, but the baseball aspect and the fun run at Decker, and this doesn't pass the general fund deficit information, and as well as the $70,000 that could be expired. So this was the misimpression that happened. Ladies and gentlemen, this is like an aerial view of Village Loop and all of the tracks in the house and Decker Elementary right here in our park. Up until the hill slopes, it's around 219,000 square feet. This was what was proposed to the Parks and Recreation. If you look at that, there is a misimpression. It looks like they're using half the park. Next slide, we look at here. This is that same map enlarged and zoomed in. This is where the proposed Phillips Paw Park will be going in, to 22,310 square feet. The implicit location, I was highlighting the times when it came to council, and at no said time did anyone question the said location. And tonight we are actually voting for the location. See a little doggy, he's studying. Okay, the next thing, why do we need a dog park? We're making history, number one. Then, ladies and gentlemen, we have, like I said earlier, 12,517 registered and licensed dogs in the city. And some of us have, 3 dogs per household, which is a limit per household, not per owner, okay? The next part is not to mention the doggies that may not be registered. That's like puppies and so on and so forth. The next part is that right now there's a blatant disregard for the leash law. How many of you have seen people at the park and let their dogs loose off the leash? Raise your hand. I see it all the time, and I see it every day. Okay, at different hours of the day too. Well, that's not allowed, ladies and gentlemen. And so this way, we're not solving the problem totally, but we are addressing, and we can enforce the disregard for this leash law. There is a portion of our community, aka the dogs and members of your family, that currently have no place to go. There are surrounding communities, get this, 3 cities that I will show you in the next slide, that are realizing the need for this and are spending money to provide areas in their cities for dog parks to be located. What cities? We have Ling Ling Chang's Dog Park, which is Bark Park in Diamond Bar. We had Claremont, who last week on February 28th allocated $350,000 to renovate their dog park, and in which is half the size of ours. And in San Dimas, there's this little dog park. I don't know the name of that one, but I've also visited some of them in San Jose, Sacramento, and in Texas. Pomona Dog Park, voila, look at this beauty. Here we go, the Nexus is another view, agility equipment, and finally another view. Amenities. The actual dog park size, once again, ladies and gentlemen, is 22,310 square feet. It is completely state-of-the-art. There is agility equipment for doggy exercising and training. There is doggy way stations. Currently, we have them all around the green belted areas in the ranch, and it's fully fenced off and enclosed. With that saying, we have two sites, one for large breed animals and one for small breed animals. We have doggy water fountains. We have doggy hydrants, for obviously what they do at a hydrant. Then we have some greenery. We have trees. We have seating areas for the residents, trash bins. It is ADA compliant, and it's easy to get to from the street. And there's a little dog saying he wants to go on his walk. The partnership opportunities, ladies and gentlemen, are endless. There's clinics, vaccines that we could do annually with the Inland Valley Humane Society. There's a memory lane. There's a program that we could have for our families to pay respect for a doggy that, like Miss M. Joyce Bickersmith, I'm sorry your doggy's in heaven, and so far like that for companions. The next point is there's a fashion show or community events, and it's open to everybody in our city. Trainings, dogs, workshops, demonstrations. I actually know Cesar Milan, and he used to film in Pomona all the time, and he's willing to come back and do more stuff too. And then holiday events and more. Now, statements that are arising. Some residents came and said some points here, and I also wrote down some of the points that they said. Council, I'm almost done, I promise. The statements that are arising, we can't use that money for police. We can use the money for police. False, it's restricted bonds. We can move this to another park. False, we would lose the money and we would then need to do another analysis, which was at $55,401. The next thing is we can't play sports at that field. False, yes we can, and you can. There's ample space in the rest of the park area, approximately 149,752 square feet. We can rehab all the parks in the district with that money. False, we cannot fix all of the park because an example is there's sod, a square foot of sod, that's grass, for reconstruction and replacement just at Decker Park or Phillips Ranch Park alone. Only the grass, ladies and gentlemen, can cost us up to $483,000. Lighting, let alone, for example, the Kennedy Park, 6 lights, $176,986. We don't need one. Yes, we do. Remember the $12,517? The money is coming out of our special assessment district. Mr. Tripucco, you brought up that point. It is not, and we can give you a breakdown whenever you'd like. Special interests. Well, if by special interests, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about our companions and dog owners and our citizens, then yes, it is a special interest. And it's a private park for Phillips Ranch only. False. It's not. It's for all of Pomona. And to quote our mayor, one Pomona. You like that? Here we go. The benefits, ladies and gentlemen, I promise I'm almost done. These are not in a specific order, but they are equally important. There's community cohesiveness. Everybody is going to be able to come to this park. We are renovating a portion of a park that is in need of help, and we are promoting exercise. There's a number of physical and mental health benefits for both dogs and their dog owners. Family interaction. Ladies and gentlemen, this is probably my favorite point because families can now go to a park and they have 7 things they can do at just one park. For example, number 1, there's a dog park. Number 2, there's restrooms. Number 3, there's barbecue pits. Number 4, seating areas. Number 5, a playground for little Sally and Stacy to go on the swings. Number 6, for anyone to play soccer or throw a ball around, and the walking areas for those who like to run or just do some exercise. And then finally, it would make it easier for our city to enforce leash laws and registration. It could help our economic development to host large dog-related events in our city. Right now, the Fairplex has some of the largest dog shows in the nation come to our city. Maybe we could partner up with them and do some stuff. We're promoting a neighborhood, potentially rising homes' values, and socializing, getting to know your neighbors, and there's obviously a lot more points. And see, all you need is love and a dog, and this little puppy agrees. The next part is thank you. Thank you to everybody who came. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. And lastly, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to leave you with a quote, which is one of my favorites. Of all the attitudes we can acquire, surely the attitude of gratitude is the most important and by far the most life-changing. Thank you very much, and if you have any questions, I'd be willing to answer. I do know that staff also has PowerPoint presentations, and I think Ms. Onyx has something too. So with that, thank you very much, staff.
Should be enough, can it? That should be enough.
Councilwoman, you had said that you would take questions, but
Yeah, thank you.
I think for the purpose of
Thank you.
We'll take a couple of questions. Pat,
Mr. Mayor, they do have to
You'll
go to the
need to come
microphone,
to the,
identify themselves. I'm sorry, for the record.
forgive me.
Yes.
Forgive me. Forgive me, Counselor.
Thank you. My name is Pat Schmidt. I'm also a resident of Phillips Ranch. I've lived in the ranch for 33 years. If anybody's a dog lover, I can attest to being a dog lover. I love my dog. He's the best thing that ever happened. The only question and that I have, well, I have two actually. You talk about the location being just a small part of the park. However, the location is right next to where the kids play. It's right next to where the snack bar is. It's right next to where people have their family parties. You know, with the dog park, there's going to be smell. Is that healthy? Has anybody considered that? The other question I have is, you're saying there's 12,000 animals or 12,000 dogs in Pomona. I think that's wonderful. I love dogs. But the problem is, where are you going to put 5,000 to 6,000 cars coming to this dog park? There's no parking. There is absolutely no parking. With the new homes going in, they've taken away the parking from the shopping center. Where are we going to park? And you know yourself, you're a resident of the ranch, you live close by. Where are people going to park? Especially if there's a soccer game going, any other activity going on at the park, where do people park?
Right. So I understand that, and I thank you. I don't anticipate 5,000 to 6,000 cars coming for a dog park.
Okay,
but I
400 or
also do.
500.
Okay. All right. Right. So if you allow me to answer, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Schmidt.
And that's
Will
it.
we-
That's it.
Yeah,
That's the only
it.
speaker.
That's it.
That's it.
When we're talking about parking, we already talked about this at a community meeting, and in fact, this was the point that was brought up, because at the time Laterra, when they purchased the property, a lot of the soccer families came out, and I'm surprised more soccer families didn't come out today. They said, you're taking our parking away. Well, actually, it was private property, and the parking lot, or the owners, were just letting everybody park there so that they can access that area. Currently, you know, the school at drop-offs in the morning and pickups in the afternoon, you know, it's the same thing. I think anybody who's going to go to a park, they're more than willing to park or walk to it. And so I really don't think that the parking is going to be such an issue. But if Principal Norwood would like to work with me, like she said, she promised already to Mr. Aldretti that she'd work with the school district for the sod, I'd be more than willing to look at that situation. But I do think that since the community's known about this since 2014, and we've had 3 or 4 or 5 community meetings that address this matter, I think that didn't come up. So thank you very much, and thank you for your question, Ms. Schmidt, and thank you for coming this evening.
Okay, so thank you. Thank you, Ms. Schmidt. At this time, I'd like to open it up to the council for,
Yeah, I had my line on, Mr. Mayor.
it's,
Just raise your hand.
yeah, it's not working. But Councilwoman Robledo, you have the floor.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. I do want to thank the community for coming out, and as they mentioned, I don't think anyone specifically is opposed to a dog park per se. I believe that the concerns that are coming up are in regards to a location. Mind you, in my personal opinion, I like the location. It's in a location that's not necessarily a 4 intersection location. It's that kind of at a T. It's that corner piece that's in that further away from the school. And I can understand the concern that it may be closer to the snack bar, but the dog park isn't fenced, correct, Councilmember Escobar? Okay, the dog park isn't fenced. I would want to have a vote of confidence in our staff that with the dog park, and they'd be cleaning up, and that our residents themselves take some opportunity to take ownership of, you know, having to pick up after their own dogs themselves. Now, one of the things that one of our speakers said was, you know, we're going to be modernizing Pomona, and I think that's a movement that we've all been moving towards, is trying to make sure that Pomona steps into some fresh steps. With the USA Today articles in 2011 indicating that the fastest growing urban parks are for dogs, and as recently as April of 2016 indicating that dog parks are leading the growth in urban parks, that's saying a lot for a city of our size, to be able to progress and bring about this particular dog park. To the members of our sporting organizations, it's in no way and ever our intent to want to take away any of the opportunities that would deter our kids from being able to take opportunities in those leadership programs, because they are opportunities for them to become their captains or coaches, their opportunities to learn sportsmanship. But the park is still relatively small enough that I believe that the opportunity for AYSO to be prosperous there can still happen. With the gopher holes, I'm very glad that Principal Norwood is starting to address that, and it's been my my own personal observation that dogs actually help deter the gophers because they get scared of them. Yeah. In this case, I don't know how, or I couldn't speak to facts or anything like that. The dogs are going to be encased. I don't know if that's going to, just the dogs that are there may assist with that. But I am glad to see that there's some opportunity for some partnership with PUSD. With the change in our head leadership, I know that our mayor has been very proactive in reaching out to PUSD and building additional partnerships. And I think it's an opportunity for us to take upon these things. I can understand some of the concerns with the community saying that District 5 hasn't been informed or involved, but I know that there was a resident that came up specifically at a council meeting to speak about the dog park per se, and I wish I could find my notes in a hurry to try to remember who the resident was, because I usually try to take notes on who's come to speak for public comment. But I want to say that it's somebody that will attend a council meeting at least fairly frequently. So there is some knowledge out there of the dog park in itself. To reallocate money that's already there to another park, I'm most willing to want to do that if we couldn't do this. My concern is that we are in a very tight deadline. And if we already cannot agree on language to put on a plaque, I'm concerned that we are not going to be able to reallocate that money to another park to get that particular park's anything else approved. We each district was allocated a certain amount of that particular grant funding, and as for the 3 years that I've been on our council, I know that I've been hearing the allocation for the dog park, and Councilmember Escobar, it would no way be in my intention to steal your thunder. But if you were open to it, I would be willing to motion to approve your project, or if you would like to motion that yourself, I'm willing to second.
Well, I'm willing to second your approval or make it myself. So I know I punched my light, but if that's your motion, I will second your motion to
Did you
approve.
punch to speak?
Yes, sir.
Well, your name didn't come up.
It all cleared when they were redoing the lights.
Okay, so would you like to make the motion?
Yes. Council, it would be my honor to move to approve this item.
Second.
Okay, so we still have discussion.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Gonzalez?
I was just going to point out that from my knowledge and looking at the records of different commission meetings and different community meetings, that there was several community meetings about this. So this is almost like after the fact, what do you call it, ninth minute? I don't know what the phrase
Monday
is.
morning quarterback.
But the whole concept, I'm just not a fan of the stagnancy of the projects in Pomona. No matter what anybody puts forward, somebody always shows up at the last minute and tries to stop it. And that just is very upsetting to me. This is only 10% of the land. The dog park is 22,000 square feet. The piece of land we're talking about is 200,000 square feet. I mean, so 10% of the total. Pomona, we have an image problem. I think a dog park would help. I mean, I previously supported this on the record a couple council meetings ago, so it would be hypocritical of me to not support it. So I'm gonna support it.
Thank you.
Any other comments from council? I'd like to make a few comments. I think it's clear that nobody's opposed to a dog park. I think we're all on the record stating that we're not opposed to a dog park. My big concern with this project had more to do with my concern about the soccer fields. and making sure that our kids were not impacted in any way. That's not to say that a dog park isn't important, but the reality of it is that the investment that we make in our young people is crucial. And so we have a limited number of soccer fields in this community, and I really think we need to make a stronger effort to make sure that we have more soccer fields for our children. I don't mean just the ones you pay for. I mean the free public soccer fields that we know are so important to this community. One of my questions that I had asked staff, and more specifically Mr. Guerrero from our staff, I asked, will this impact our soccer fields? And he said no, it would not impact our soccer fields, so that our kids would still be able to continue to play. Now the question about the grounds and the need to improve the grounds, I think those are the types of conversations that are really important between the school district and the city, is how can we work together to make sure that those fields are such that kids are not being injured when they're playing out there. The other thing is that Measure A did pass back in November. There will be dollars coming directly to Pomona for perhaps dog parks, but certainly for whether it's a community center or whether it's soccer fields, but it's an important measure that I think we have to sort of consider. The other piece of it is that should we not approve this will have a direct impact on our general funds. And you, as council, you never want to be put in a situation where you're having to decide between the general city finances and which I can certainly concur with some of the concerns about the process. I don't believe that there hasn't been any conversation around this dog park. Maybe there's a question about the specificity of the dog park. But again, for me, really the central issue is, because I'm not opposed to a dog park, is how would this impact the integrity of the park? And obviously it's going to have an impact, but my biggest concern was the impact it would have on our kids being able to access the soccer fields. Now, I think the question of parking is crucial, is absolutely crucial, and I think that should this pass, that be a priority, that with our school district, is that how might we be able to access the parking at the school, but that if we're going to expect this to be a Pomona park, a Pomona dog park, folks who are in what you might call Pomona are not going to be walking all the way to that park. They're going to need to be able to drive and be able to park and to be able to walk their dog at the dog park, because not everybody lives in close proximity to this dog park. So I just want to put that out there.
Sure. And we will address that, and I will work with the school district.
Thank you. Councilwoman Ontiveros-Cole.
Well, basically, I think this is a great idea. Number one, it's about time we started progressing towards something that other cities have.
Absolutely.
I've heard comments regarding Claremont, Laverne, and different other cities, and I think it's time that we start becoming more of a city that has these opportunities for our pets, for ourselves, socializing as well, getting to know your neighbors, and I think it's a great idea, and I have confidence that this is going to be a very successful project, and I would like to initiate something perhaps in my district, because we have a lot of dogs in our district.
We could use this as a pilot program too.
I think it's time that we start doing something for the city of Pomona. I don't think it's something that is not going to be unsuccessful. I think it's going to be very successful. And working with this, with the Pomona Unified School District, I think we could probably solve that issue with the parking. I mean, especially the weekends, Decker is right there, and there is a fairly large parking area, because I go to that school and I see it often. So I don't have a problem. I think we'll resolve this problem, but we have to start somewhere. And I know that the project has been going on for quite a while now. So hopefully, you know, we can just understand that we do definitely need to have something just like any other city. And I'm in favor of this park.
Thank you. Well, I'd like to call the question then, Mr. Mayor, if there's no more speakers.
I have no more speakers.
Can we please
Call the
vote?
question?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, while we're waiting, if I could just say, Councilmember Cole, if you're gonna do a dog park in your area, should it be Lincoln Park? Might I suggest Lincoln Bark?
I would not suggest Lincoln Park.
I'm just saying.
I like Paw Town. You know, P-Town.
Thank you, council. Thank you, and we just made history, so, thank you.